Hey everybody, hope you're doing all right today. Here is our lesson for today. This is a pretty easy lesson. The very first lesson in chapter 4 is going to start as pretty simple, writing equations in slope-intercept form. I apologize I don't have my phone holder today. I'm just literally holding my phone with my hand, so it's a little bit shaky. It's not your eyes or you getting dizzy, it's just me not holding the phone very straight. But anyway, this is the formula we're going to work with today, slope-intercept form. I'm assuming you've seen that before in your life. If not, it's called slope-intercept form because the equation tells you the slope and the y-intercept. Not very creative of a name, but you know what? This is probably the most popular format, and it's the one we're going to use quite a bit. And in fact, it's the easiest one to use because it is so straightforward. Slope-intercept form always looks like this. The letter y will always be in there just because there's an x-axis and a y-axis. You've got an x and a y in there. The letter y is all by itself, usually on the left-hand side of the equal sign. It doesn't have to be on the left-hand side, but it's normally all by itself on the left. And then you're going to have some number, which they represent the slope with the letter m. I don't know why they pick m for slope, but they do. Slope is always going to be the number that is the coefficient on the letter x, right? It's what the letter x is being multiplied by. And that's always going to be the slope. We represent that with the letter m. And then most of the time there's an adding, or it could even be subtracting. It doesn't have to always be adding. Even though the formula has a plus sign, it could be a minus. There's always going to be an adding or subtracting part at the end, 99% of the time. And that's going to be your y-intercept number. That's going to be the spot where the graph crosses the y-axis. So I feel like I've talked about this before, but if I haven't, there is your quick refresher. Y equals mx plus b. That is your classic slope-intercept form. So what they're going to do today is they're going to have you practice just plugging in the numbers into the formula. Like, seriously, that's all you have to do. So like, look at letter A. Okay, they say, okay, write the formula if the slope is -3 and the y-intercept is 1/2. So literally all you have to do is in the spot of the letter m where the slope is, you're going to put the slope. So in this question, the slope is -3. So instead of an m, because you'll never actually have an m in your formula, you're going to have a number there. We're going to have -3x. Okay? And then the y-intercept is always going to be at the end. Now, if it's a positive number, we'll put plus. If it's a negative number, we'll put a minus. This one is a positive y-intercept. A positive 1/2 is our y-intercept, so we're just going to put plus 1/2. And guess what? That's it. Not very difficult today, right? Number 2, or I guess it's not number 2, it's letter B. Same idea. Now on this one they say the slope is 0. So when I go to put my slope in here, can I put 0x? Maybe temporarily, but honestly, does 0x really do anything? No, I'll deal with that in a minute. And then the y-intercept goes at the end. This y-intercept is negative, so I just put -2. Now, could you put plus -2 if you really wanted to? Yeah, you could do that, but in my opinion, most people, most textbooks won't write it that way. And so what I would do is just keep it like this, with the exception of 0 times anything is just 0. So how about we just say just y, I mean, this really doesn't matter. 0 times anything is always going to equal 0. So how about we just do this, right? When the slope is 0, like, don't even put it in there. Just ignore it completely, and you'll have y equals -2, and that's it. Okay. Letter C. Apologies, I got this glare coming off the light. Got to hold my phone, I guess, a little bit further over. This one, the slope is 7. So up here, when I get to my slope, I'm going to put a 7 right there. So 7 x's. And then the y-intercept on this one is +2, so I'm going to put plus. Nothing crazy about that one, so I'm done. And then the last one, the slope is 1/3. So y equals, the slope always goes here with the letter x. The slope is 1/3. 1/3 x. And then the y-intercept on this one is -1. So I'm just going to put -1. And that's it, right? I've got my answer here for letter D. I've got my answer here for letter C. I've got my answer here for letter A. That is all you have to do on the first part of the assignment today. Just take the slope, plug it in. Take the y-intercept, plug it in. We never saw one where the y-intercept was 0. Let's just say, for example, if they would have given you one where the y-intercept was 0, like maybe you have something where like the slope is 5 and then the y-intercept is 0, do you have to put +0 at the end? No. If there, you can just erase that and just say y equals 5x. So if you ever get one like that where the y-intercept is 0, just don't even put +0 at the end. I mean, you can, it's not wrong, but it just looks kind of silly to do that. Okay, I've got 2 more boards and then we'll be done. They're also going to give us, let me grab it here, they're going to give us a little bit of practice. Can I write the equation if they give you a graph? Instead of just telling you what the slope is and telling you what the y-intercept is, like on the last board, here they're going to make it a graph, but it's the same idea, right? You still have this as your format. I still need to figure out what's the slope and what's the y-intercept, right? I need to figure out what is the slope, because that's going to go there. I need to figure out what's the y-intercept, because that's going to go there. Now, you can still do it from the graph. It's very easy. How do you find the slope from a graph? I know we've done this because I remember making a video about it. It's a little bit tougher on these boards. It's a little bit easier on the computer because you can see the actual boxes. Remember what slope is. Slope is always a ratio of rise to run, right? How far is the graph going up compared to how far is the graph going over? Like the points on the graph, 2 points on the graph. So I'm going to take this point because they already have it labeled. I'm going to take this point because they already have it labeled. And I'm going to count. Remember, you go left to right, like your little Tim and Moby over here. They've got to go from left to right, just like you read a sentence from left to right. And I'm just going to count to get from this dot to this dot. How far do I have to go up? Straight up. You don't count diagonally. You go straight up and then you go straight over. So to get from here to here, I'm going to have to go north or straight up. I'm going to have to rise 1, 2, I'm counting the spaces, 3, 4, 5, 6. Up 6, right? You can see those 6 little arrows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to go up 6. And then I'm going over, and when you go over, it should always be to the right. See how I have these spaces right here? That's what I'm kind of measuring it with. 2, 3, right here, 4. Up 3, over 4. That is your slope. If we reduce it, right? Can we reduce 6 over 4? Of course we can. 6 over 4 is the same as 3 over 2. Sorry, I ran out of room. So my equation is going to be y equals 3 over 2x, 3 halves. That's really how you would pronounce that, right? Because 6 over 4 is the same thing as 3 over 2. And now the y-intercept is easy, especially today. The book was so nice. Look, here's your y-axis. Can you see where our orange line touches the y-axis? Look, they've given you the point. It's right here. This is where our orange line touches the y-axis. It's right here at the point 0, -3. The y-intercept is 1, 2, 3, -3. So guess what you get to put on the end? -3, because it touched, the orange line touched the y-axis at -3. Sorry about that, my heater just shut off. My voice got a little bit louder there. Okay, let's do another one. Okay, number, I guess it's letter B, it's not number 2. Here's my format. I'm gonna have to find the slope. The slope of this one. Now I've got my little Tim and Moby guy here. I'm gonna go left to right. The slope of this one is going downhill, so I know this slope is gonna be negative in a second. Let's figure out how much negative it is, right? You're gonna have this dot right here. I'm gonna have this dot right here. I'm gonna count the boxes, or in my case, I don't have boxes. I'm using spaces. Going down, 2, down, 3. Does that get me to the right level? Yes, down 3. So this is actually not rising at all. It's kind of falling. So I'm gonna put negative since we went down. Whoa, did we go down? We went down 3, not 4. About messed that up. Down 3. And now we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4. You see how I'm using this? This is my guide right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Down 3, 4 to the right. That is your slope. Down 3 means negative. So right here, negative signifies we went down. Down 3, over 4. Put the x on there because the slope is always connected to the x. And then just look at your line. Where did your line touch the y-axis? This orange line touches the y-axis right here. And this point, you can see it's already labeled, but this point is 2 spots above the origin. So we're going to put positive 2 since it was 2 spots above. This one was -3 because it was 3 spots below where it crossed the y-axis. And that's it. Okay, let's do 2 more and then we'll stop. This video may be about 12 or so minutes long, and that's okay. Letters C and D are the same idea. I know I have my format. You don't actually have to write this, but I like to write it just to organize myself. Okay, I know it's going to be y equals, because it always is. I need to find the slope. This one's another one that's going down and downhill. You've got your little Tim and Moby. You got to go left to right. I'm going to start here, and I'm going to travel to here. You've got to have 2 points. You can have more than 2, but you've got to take at least 2. So I'm going to go from here. I have to go straight down 1, straight down 2. That is at the right level, even though I'm not the best artist. That is right at the right level. Down 2, so that's like a rise over run. If I'm going down, it's like negative, right? So I'm going down 2 squares, and I'm going over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Down 2 over 5. So I ran over 5. Can I reduce that? No. Negative 2/5 is not reducible. Put the X on there. And then just look at the orange line. Where did your orange line touch the y-axis? My orange line touches the y-axis, right? This is the y-axis. My orange line touched it right here. One place underneath the origin at the point 0, -1. And so I'm going to put a -1 right there. And wonderful, I did it. Okay, grand finale. I'll switch it back over to green so you can tell the difference between this problem and the last one. Okay, this is my little setup. It's going to help me if I don't spin the board around. The slope of this one is positive. I can tell this one's going uphill from here to here, so I know this is going to be a positive. It's going to be y equals something. It's got to be a positive number. You could use this point in the middle, but I'm going to use this one and this one just because they're already labeled. I'm going to rise up 2, so I'm going to do a rise 2 positive because I went up, and then I have to run over 1, 2, see 1, 2, 3, 4. Rise up 2 over 4. Or if I would have done it the shortcut way, if I would have used this point and this point, I would have gone up 1 over 2. And isn't that the same thing, right? If I reduce 2 over 4, I get 1/2. So it really didn't matter which points I picked. 2 over 4 reduces to 1/2. Whoops, I said I was going to go to green. And then where is the y-intercept? This orange line, before I put all the arrows on it, the orange line touched the y-axis right there at the point 0, 1. One place above the origin signifying a plus, and then +1. Okay, guys, I'm going to put some questions like this on the Big Ideas Math site. If you have a hard time with them today, feel free to shoot me an email, but hopefully these won't be too bad. They'll be just like this, where you have to use a graph to come up with your own equation, and where you have to just make your equation when they give you the information. Okay, all the graphs should be easy, where they have the y-intercept clearly labeled on there, so you don't have to like guess or anything like that. All right, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good one. Do the questions on Big Ideas Math.